aftermath.media.
Yeah, we've got 7 listeners.
Hello, fellow Americans.
Are we live
I'm
on Facebook?
Yep. And I'll just do this together mode so we look a little bit better. We'll try
you
to
got to check out this together mode.
try out our see what happens with 3 people. This will be interesting. Hey, I like your background there, Vinny.
Sure, brother.
Oh yeah.
You can look and wave, hey guys.
Hi.
Hi, mate.
It's
All
so
right.
stupid. All the lighting's all different and everything. It's so fun.
Yeah, nice one. Okay, here we go. This is comfy.
Right.
Nice little birthday party thing.
Okay, shall I turn the phone on?
Yeah, mate.
What do you reckon? Or do you want to have a rundown of your background a bit, Vinny?
Yeah, run.
If you want to.
It's very easy to run down my background, frankly. Just like what did I say earlier? Is what's the mouldy word for bread?
Don't know that one.
Chia butter. It's just the thing about the Vinny Eastwood show is we'll talk about really horrific things, child sexual, satanic abuse, targeted individuals, earthquake weapons, and the whole 9 yards. And the only thing I've found that is worse than all of those things is my jokes. It just...
I made up a joke. What does kayaking mean in Maori?
Talking about food.
No, talking with your mouth full.
Yeah.
You're close, right? It's close.
Well, yeah, I wanted to make a Māori food show called Kayaking.
I made up another joke. What would be Bob Marley's best song if he was born a Maori?
What?
No woman, no guy. No woman, no guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's enough of Maori jokes.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we're going to get cancelled now.
Yeah.
I've already taken it too far, and that's sort of what I do.
This is usually your bedtime, eh, Vinny?
I would be in bed right now if it weren't for this, but instead I'm under the studio lights and I've got my coffee.
Good on you, man. Okay, well, do you want to? You weren't too keen on a rundown.
Oh no, well let's do a bit of a rundown then, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
All right. So a number of years ago, in about 2007, I started making truth media content. That was about 16 years ago. And uploading it to YouTube. I got given an American radio show in 2010, and in the 2020 election, I helped Billy TK in the election campaign against Jacinda and against the COVID lockdown measures and so on and so forth. Following that, I got arrested and banned from accessing the internet. I spent 28 months in court, 28 hours in solitary confinement at the Mount Eden prison. The police didn't want to let us go. And eventually we got discharged with conviction. And what that means is we now have a conviction under New Zealand law for standing within 2 meters of somebody. And as a result of that arrest, regardless of how traumatic it was, I also got deplatformed, lost all my audience, lost all my works. I think about 6,000 videos, 20,000 hours of content with 2,000 people made over a 16-year period. So to lose all that just in one fell swoop, that was a big hit. Deplatformed from Patreon as well, without them even telling me that I'd been deleted. I had to find out on my own. And from Twitter as well, and was not reinstated by the so-called Lord and Savior Elon Musk. So with my experience, I've probably done more than most activists in this country, in the media sphere or in the activism sphere, ever will. in their lifetimes, in terms of producing content, in terms of international recognition of your brand, and so on and so forth. And what I've been doing with my resources and contacts is largely sharing them. Sharing my time, sharing my expertise, helping people to get off the ground so that they can start producing media content too. Because I believe that the world has been destroyed by two types of people, nerds and professionals. And for the same reason, they make things sound so complicated that you couldn't possibly do it yourself, and so you have to pay them perpetually in order to do things for you. Whereas I know from experience that actually things are relatively simple. You don't necessarily need to know the technical jargon in order to start a radio show or a podcast or any of that kind of stuff. You just need to sit there and get the thing set up in the first place. And once it is, you're away laughing, and you can give a platform to the people who you believe are most deserving of it, the people who are promoting the idea of freedom, responsibility, and honor and decency. And you can check out all of my content that is remaining on the VinnyEastwoodShow.com. That's Vinny with a Y because it's the most important question. And Eastwood, like, go ahead, make my news. And if you go and look on there and you see that you like the content because it's fun and it helps you to have that will to live, if it gives you hope like it does to many people. A lot of people have told me that they were going to commit suicide if it wasn't for my show. Like, they were at their wits' end and they couldn't see the lighter side of genocide, which I provide.
Yes. Your catchphrases, Vinny, are always welcome here.
Hey, now, are we live on Facebook? Because I had a look and I can't see it, but
I just got it going now. I think I've just been fiddling around this entire time. Tried to get. I've just got to press refresh.
Okay, now just while we're at it, watching the previous stuff on Facebook with the OBS, I reckon you got to back off my microphone a bit, or that top. Because, if you want to do that without hearing it straight away, I think that's the way to go.
Oh, yeah, we are live. I've just got to fiddle with the screw. Oh, no, we are live. We're good. And sorry, you mean back off your OBS a little bit?
Yeah, the top.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, it's in the reds. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Just
a little bit.
Even if maybe two-thirds, I reckon. Two-thirds, because I notice. Anyway, I won't go into it. Yep.
Yeah, sure. Yep, no, all good. I've done that. That's good. So if you maybe you can turn your mic up a little bit at your end now.
I've got it pretty high. I
can hear you fine. That's fine.
I've noticed the Facebook does an automatic adjustment. So when one's low, it brings it up, and then when the other person comes in, it's too high, and then it brings it down. So it's got this fluctuating thing. So we'll get it right eventually. Yeah. Now, should I turn the phone on, you reckon?
Yeah, also hence why I don't really play background music anymore. Can't really do it. It just wrecks the broadcast.
Well, when you're talking, it's fine.
Sorry?
When you're talking, it's fine. So if you do a monologue, you can have the music behind you. Is that the right word, monologue? Okay. Shall I turn the phone on? Okay, it's on.
All right. I can't believe you haven't already.
No, well, I just thought...
What's the call-in number?
Okay, there's a couple of numbers.
If you're on 2 degrees, you're 0204 NZ free, or if you're skinny, 0204 me free. We are solutions-based radio. We're open and transparent. We don't have any incentives. We don't have any funding. We are not psychopaths. We will not cut you off. And we have Vinny Eastwood as our special guest tonight. So welcome along, Vinny. Stoked to have you here, bro. Thank you for all your help and everything you've done, in these years that I've been following you. And thank you for helping us out with this setting up New Zealand Freedom Radio Hub. Much appreciated. And stoked to have you on the show.
Ciao, butter.
Yeah, so if you're on the 2 Degrees network, Vinny, you can ring one number for free, 0204 NZ free. And if you're on the Skinny network, you can ring another number for free, 0204 me free. But if you're on the normal other networks, it's just like a normal call.
Just use your 3 minutes, bro.
Yeah. It's, I found ideally people should have dual SIM phones because they're pretty cheap and you can put, a couple of different networks in there and you get the best of both worlds, different networks, two worlds.
So there was a discussion about Brad Flutie, and I only just heard about this a day or two ago or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
I've been so confuzzled and busy with a film project.
Okay.
And yeah, Brad's apparently been on a hunger strike or something like that. Is that because of his treatment by the police and his conviction and stuff like that? Because I like.
Yeah. It stems from that because he had a court case, right? Because of the that stuff, right? But it all started from not wearing a mask in the liquor shop, up north, I suppose, and then he wouldn't say he resisted arrest. I think that's the issue.
Was he had already gotten permission from the actual owner of the liquor shop to not have to wear a mask, and the liquor shop owner wasn't actually there, and so the shop assistant said he had to wear a mask, and when he argued with them and said, but the owner said that I could, they then called the police, and the police then pulled out tasers and tried to cajole him and stuff like that, and Brad wasn't having it. He wasn't letting them just take him and tackle him or anything like that. And his daughter, for the first time, he's tried to get her to film so many things, and she's always like just twiddling on her phone or something like that. Teenagers. But this time she actually did get her phone out and saw the cops tearing his shirt and pushing him around and trying to tase him and stuff like this. Pretty horrific for just not wearing a piece of cloth on his face. This guy needs to be violently taken down because he's not wearing cloth on his face. Just complete insanity that we went through in this country and virtually every other during this instance. And his defense was that he's I can't remember his exact defense, but it was something along the lines of the legal fiction argument that he doesn't identify as the person on the birth certificate because it's just a created entity. I mean, for those of you who don't know, this is just a very brief backgrounder. The slavers who figured out how to capture people and get them to do work for free, they figured out something, that if they just pay you and then you have to pay for your own accommodation and food, then you will actually be more productive a slave and less likely to resist. So they had to do this all legally, and they used it during what's called maritime law, the law of the sea. You ever see somebody talk about maritime law, where there's a ship at sea or something and you can get salvage, blah, blah, blah. It's like that, but it's on the land. And on the land, if you've got a birth certificate, it has your name in all capital letters. Now, if you go to the company's registry, you will notice that all the companies that are listed on there are also put in all capital letters, because that's not a human. Okay, that's not a person, a real, actual flesh and blood man or woman. That's a corporation, coming from the word corpse, as in it's dead. Right? And so if you look at your driver's license, it's got all capital letters. That's not you. That's an account that's been created in your name so that they can send you bills, so that they can tax you, so that they can imprison you, so on and so forth. Whereas if you're just a normal human being, a living blood, flesh and man on the land and what have you, unless you've actually hurt somebody or damage somebody's private property, they shouldn't be able to do anything to you. That's basically freedom, the non-aggression principle. So what Brad and many others in this country, he's probably one of the more recent ones, have been doing is trying to assert their flesh and blood status in the courts. You can't charge me with this because there is no victim, all right? There's a legal principle called bringing forth the body, habeas corpus, which means literally, if you've killed somebody, they have to have a body to charge you with the murder, all right? And so if there's no body of evidence, you can't be held guilty, right? And so the whole system is completely corrupt, run on this slavery system under what's called a legal fiction straw man. A little company that was created when you were born. It's got a stock receipt on it, okay? Because your livestock, all right? You are animals on the global plantation. That's why I say to people on my show, welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and hermaphrodites, my fellow slaves of the global plantation. Because we are literally slaves on a global plantation here. And people like Brad and others have been resisting this from a legal standpoint. Now, what's unfortunate about that is a video that I watched some time ago called The 3 Keys to Power. And there are 3 things that every successful government in history has had in order to take power and or maintain it. Those are police, military, and people to pay them. All right, which is why I've started the Bribe the New Zealand Police and Military on GoStarter.com or whatever, and we just need $4 billion a year, ladies and gentlemen. Now, and then all the New Zealand Police and Military will enforce the laws that we want instead of ruthless criminal sociopathic scumbaggery.
That's a good one.
All right, $4 billion a year, folks. That's what your freedom's going to cost. Police to keep order in the streets and military to back them up when they fail. Period. All right? Anybody else is arguing about how effective protesting is, how effective arguing in court is, how effective blah, 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 blah. They are not in touch with history and the real causes of freedom and tyranny as we see manifesting. These are great ideas that should be explored further when we're no longer under the threat of enslavement and subsequent extermination by satanic pedophiles. All right, that's what I'm trying to say here in terms of how much we should prioritize, just speaking. The system is killing us. Left, right, centre. They've poisoned our water supply, our air, our food supply. They've poisoned our brains. They're turning our children against us and all of that kind of stuff. We're at war already. You don't go and try to negotiate with people that you're at war with because they don't communicate, right? Communication breaks down. War is the only way, and we're dealing with such a full spectrum dominance system that has us all under surveillance, that has the ability to target us with advanced and exotic technologies that you wouldn't frickin' imagine even being brought out in a sci-fi film. That people just, I think, when they first start knowing about tyranny, when they first start realizing that they actually want freedom, that is an important stepping stone to learning what you're actually dealing with and what it's actually going to take in order to secure said freedom. G. Edward Griffin, for example, he started Freedom Force International, and its motto, I believe in Latin, translates to those without power cannot defend freedom.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. That's right, eh? So you can't let it slip. Can't let your sovereignty slip, eh?
It's already gone. It needs to be taken back, and I'm not 100% sure that the police and military who are being paid to terrorize and tyrannize the country are going to enforce the real laws on themselves.
Yeah,
I have a look at what happened in Wellington, which is very triggering for me, considering I got arrested not too long before that under relatively similar circumstances, but certainly it was hyped up in Wellington to the nth degree. They took it to 11 there. Is that you had police in riot gear with rubber bullets, sound weapons, and radiation EMF weapons that they were using on the protesters, and the protesters were defending themselves by clustering in groups and chanting peace and love. And we're surprised that the protest didn't get its message across. It just, I mean, it's almost like a lot of these people, this was their first time fighting for freedom, because I knew a lot of people down there who knew a lot about it and had former cops, former military and things of that nature. They try to get into the people who are sort of seeming to lead the protest in some way and shape and form, and tell them about tactics, what the police are going to do and how to counteract them. Did they listen to them? No.
No. Well, we've had a guy talk through a few times. This guy Luke from New Plymouth, and he had a good idea. He was saying because a lot of people are calling for Wellington 2.0 or whatever, but he was saying a good way to go would be to lead with the NZ DSOS crew.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as far as COVID related stuff. And then I was thinking also maybe get the Kaumātua on side too, because have you seen the River of Freedom movie?
No, but I interviewed the maker of it, Galen.
But at the end of the movie, they kicked everyone off the land right except for the Kaumātua in their tent. And Mallard came down saying, "Hey, do you want a cup of tea?" And they said no. But what I'm trying to get to is that perhaps with their blessing or whatever, and NZ DSOS behind them or with them, and then the people behind that, with their demands, maybe it's get the unredacted Pfizer contract or whatever else.
Well, Penny Bright said that when you've got any issue, you need to make it wide at the base and narrow at the tips. Famed 40-year activist. And that means you've got to pick one issue, just one, that everybody can get behind. Something very, very simple.
Yeah.
Gandhi, for example, when he got India free, it was because of protesting the salt tax, because everybody had to pay the salt tax and everybody needed salt, right?
Yes.
You have to find something like that for people to get
unifying
behind. Now, does New Zealand DSOS or the Kaumātua control the police and military in this country? No.
Well,
okay. Well, then they'll just use the police and military to kick you off. Game over again.
Well,
that's what happens if you don't refine your tactic, if you try the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity, they say. Well,
it's not so much sit-in or it's not a camp up, although some people might want to do that. More of a not a big day out, but a big sort of get-together where people, maybe they stay there till they get their demands met. He was talking about coming back after Christmas holidays when, in day one kind of thing. But the thing with the Kaumātua, I mean, they can't kick them off. And the point he was trying to get to with having, say, NZ DSOS
is there
leading
anything
it
physically stopping them from kicking the Kaumātua off? Like, can these Kaumātua fight? Do they have weapons? Things like that. If they don't,
I hear what you're
then
saying.
Physically, they can be kicked off. Nobody's safe in a tyranny. Anybody who thinks that they can get away with anything, for too long, and he said, like, revise of the Nazis, that saying that first they came for the Christians and I didn't say anything because I wasn't a Christian, then they came for the so on and so forth, and by the end of it there's nobody left to fight for you. So that's what's really difficult about this situation, is because you've got a lot of hope, right, and a lot of enthusiasm. Now that needs to be channeled with just a little bit of realism, because too much hope, it just doesn't vanquish people who are wearing body armor. I'm sorry to say. Well,
I think that in the previous Wellington protest, I think the propaganda from the TV especially was that these people are fractured. They've all got their different ideas, and no one knows. Some people don't even know why they're there. But I think if you let it, say with the NZ DSOS, then it's more pointed, like you say.
Okay, so
and the more their reputations are better because they're doctors and whoever else, so they're more harder for the press to fob off.
Well, not really, because the press are adept at what they do, and what they do is what's called, in the technical term, black propaganda. This is when you use lies to convince people of a certain point of view, whereas I operate under the white propaganda principle where I use the truth to convince you of a certain point of view.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean,
if we look at, for example,
that,
there's two things I want to mention here. The first is Ron Paul, and the second is the Auckland Occupy movement, the global Occupy movement that happened, what was that, in 2012 or something like that. So, number one, the tactic by the mainstream media in the United States against Congressman Ron Paul, even though he actually routinely won number one position in the polling, he would not be reported. Like, they would actually have these are the results of the polls, and they'd only have the person who came in second and third and fourth, and not the person who came in first.
I hear you, yeah.
So they have infinite tactics to just ignore you and make you go away, because if they don't tell anybody that you exist, if they don't tell anybody what's going on, they can't get motivated. They can't get out there. This is why the alternative media really has to up their game to a significant margin, especially in this country, which is difficult because of the very active censorship role that we have, because the government has a back door to all the mainstream media and all the social media. Anything happens on social media or mainstream media in this country that the government doesn't like, they can flick a switch, and it's gone.
Oh yeah, they'll say, the NZDSOS are the bunch of deregistered doctors who were spreading misinformation or whatever.
See, there you go. You got
they'll say something like that.
Mm-hmm. And that way they can just sling mud and lies and things like that. And what that does is it creates confusion. Right, and they'll send agents into NZDSOS and things of that nature, disguised as genuine doctors who really want to help. But what they're actually there to do is two things. Number one, sow discord and get everybody fighting with each other so that the organization collapses from within. And number two is to surveil and get people who may become a danger in the future identified and make sure that their careers are stopped at their halt. Because if they target your money and your family and your general mental health, you can disable activists quite easily, really. It happened to me, it happened to Billy, it's happened to Hannah and Calvin from Counterspin to a degree, because they mess with every single part of you so that you cannot actually fight. And because there isn't a quote-unquote back line of supporters that is very, very apparent, all right? Of course there's backline supporters and the people who support me via their donations, and I get all these messengers thanking me and telling me to keep up the good work. It's wonderful. It allows me to survive, but it doesn't allow me to become a much bigger threat to the current status quo, because there just isn't that support base, at least not here in this country. We've been leftist propagandized for quite some time. The youth have been indoctrinated. Anybody under 40, all right, that's in this movement is an incredible rarity. Right? Yeah. You have to be a certain
Why do you think that is?
Well, if you have, for example, as Yuri Bezmenov talked about, is a former KGB agent who defected to Canada during the 80s. And he conducted an interview with G. Edward Griffin. I was going to say Sir G. Edward Griffin, because he should have some kind of knighthood, but except he's not part of the Crown or English person or whatever. And regardless, people who get knighthoods usually screw over the country that they're from in order to obtain them. But I digress. Anyway,
could you call it right honourable? Could you call him right honourable without having to have some other title? I mean, it's just words, isn't it?
No, he's the G, all right. And I said on my first interview with him that I thought the G just stood for straight gangster, because he's just anyway. The the interview that he conducted with Yuri Bezmenov, Yuri shaped the perception plan for communism taking over the world. And what was really central to that was the infiltration of the schooling system. If you are confined to school, away from your parents and your friends and so on and so forth, who might otherwise influence you in different ways, you become part of a cult-like mentality. All right, cult indoctrination's pretty simple, but it's varied in its approach. The idea, and I think once I list these things, you'll realize that you're part of a cult too, myself included, or at least have been in the past. You go somewhere where you're isolated from your family and friends. You learn really boring stuff in a repetitive manner that doesn't really mean anything. There's a central authority figure and a central indoctrination, and if anybody questions it, they get henpecked by all your fellow classmates or workmates or something of that nature. There's fluorescent lighting, very poor food, and you're often sleep deprived, and you get traumatized. Those 9 little things there is classic cult indoctrination techniques. That is your schools, that is your workplaces. Now, if the schools are run, and this is what Yuri said, it would only take 3 generations for communists to infiltrate the school system and make sure that almost every child that comes out the other end of this meat grinder for their minds and souls is a full-on commie, all right? And we've had 3 generations of communist indoctrination in our schools. That's why the vast majority of the youth ain't involved in the freedom movement, because they don't know what freedom is. They've never been taught. All they've been taught is how to be a good little socialist.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right from kindergarten, right from Disney, right from watching Disney cartoons.
So
arts.
The whole idea is to undermine your morality, or the technical term is to demoralize the population. And Bezmenov said, once the process of demoralization is complete, you can have the best argument in the world to prove that black is black and white is white, and it won't work. Thus, the process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. Okay, it's irreversible. Okay, you can't unindoctrinate somebody all of a sudden, not in time to stop your country from being taken over by communists.
You think COVID might have woken some up, from a scientific point of view, possibly, but or people getting harmed, maybe around them.
You're right, and it did to an extent. But again, what wakes you up to the truth? Trauma. Yep. Okay, and if you don't know how to deal with that trauma, if you're a truther, the chances are very, very good that you have a lot of unhealthy, self-destructive habits. Okay, you smoke, you drink, you do drugs, you spend a lot of time consuming social media and things of that nature because you're very, very traumatized. This is the sign that somebody's traumatized. These are self-destructive habits that are actually inbuilt to the trauma response. So it's quite interesting that even once you do realize the truth, you'll be so busy medicating yourself from the trauma of knowing the truth that you'll be almost neutralized and no longer a threat to the system.
Yeah, that's why someone like yourself battling all the way through is a rarity, right?
It only takes a drop of water to start a waterfall. Okay, and what you try to do, or at least I try to do, is to help people feel like they're not alone, because the loneliness will kill you. All right. In some cases, quite literally, a lot of people just literally die of loneliness because they're in a home. This reminds me of Sir Peter Dunne's daughter. She committed suicide because she was a stoner, and her father was the country's #1 anti-cannabis prohibitionist, elected to parliament.
Oh, shoot.
Okay. And
Peter Dunne, yeah.
There's a movie that. Was it human? No, not human traffic. Yeah, I think it was. Where there was that senator who was an anti-drug campaigner. His daughter was a big drug addict.
Mm.
Isn't that funny?
So, nevertheless, what the cannabis movement taught me, and this is how I got into activism in the first place because of my own cannabis conviction, where I was going to go to jail for up to 8 years for possession of 13 grams for sale. So this is called prohibition rage. Now, if you're in an environment, and I think this really does key on to a lot of other things as well, but particularly with prohibition rage, if you are in an environment that is completely unsupportive of your cannabis use, and you're using that cannabis to medicate yourself for an undiagnosed condition, the fact that you're being persecuted, you're being looked down, you're being called names and things of that nature can lead to prohibition rage. And this can manifest in a lot of ways, of course, rage being one of them, suicide being another, social withdrawal being another. And if you just take that model of prohibition rage, think about conspiracy rage. Okay, if you're in a family who call you a conspiracy theorist, who tell that you have to get a jab in your arm that you don't want in order to come to their wedding or their Christmas or something of that nature, that's going to give you conspiracy rage. Okay, and that's going to make you very, very uncomfortable with the way things are because you believe, because you're surrounded by these people, that you are alone, that there ain't nobody on your side, that you don't actually have any friends. All right, I lost every single friend I've ever had when I became a conspiracy theorist. Every single one. Every single person who I knew back in the day who was not a conspiracy theorist is not my friend today. Because at the end of the day, they're not worth my fucking time.
Yeah, you've got. I can't say I've lost all my friends, but I have to be compassionate to people. I can't just cut people off for no reason just because they don't think the way I do. There's still people in my life that I love who aren't on my page, but I'm just happy to be their friend because there's things about them that I think are really cool, and I don't know, but I do hear you, Vinny. Like, I did lose 99% of my friends. I have lost 98% of my friends pretty much I lost.
It's a sliding scale, right? So what happens is it's like a bell curve. The vast majority of your friends, you won't be friends with them because they share your beliefs. And in fact, if you start sharing your beliefs with them, they'll start to think that you're a crazy person and they'll start giving you crap about it and so on and so forth. And you physically will feel ill around them. You just won't feel comfortable. You won't feel like you can be yourself, and so
in your stomach, that in the pit of your stomach, you'll feel worse when you leave their company.
Yeah, that's right, and over time, these people go from friends to acquaintances to just distant, and it's almost like there's a relationship between how hardcore you are into the truth and how often you do it and how little time you have for people who ain't supporting you in that role.
Yeah. Hey, folks, just remember, if you want to join in on the discussion, if you're on 2 Degrees Mobile, 0204 NZ free, or if you're on Skinny Mobile, 0204 me free. That's the point of this. We're all on Skype here. You can join in the conversation. That's what Talkback's about. Or text in the show. Find us on Telegram. We are solutions-based radio. We're open and transparent. We currently have about 12 people listening, 11 people, 15 listeners. Boom.
15. So, I've got a message here from Big Norm. I lost all my friends too, even my best friend. But the new friends I found are better.
Yeah, same here. I've found so much better friends in the freedom movement, honestly. They're like family, eh? They welcome me.
I explained this in terms of the gold rush, panhandling, right? The whole idea is that you get a big dish and then you scoop up a bunch of dirt and rocks and things like that with it, and then you swirl it around and you use the water to wash off all that dirt and wash off all those stones and all that muck, and eventually what you're left with right at the bottom is just these tiny little nuggets of gold. That's who we're after. That's what we're doing. We're panhandling humanity to find and dig out that which does not lose its luster, like gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. It's been good, man. This is.
I know, Brendan. I know with you, Brendan. You got your groups, freedom groups and stuff. So I can understand more. If that's your kind of friend base too, isn't it? Well, part of it.
The Freedom Alliance in Wellington. I remember the first time I walked into the room, I was like really nervous. I didn't know anybody there. I was like, oh, who are these people? Oh, I didn't know how to take them or anything. But within seconds, Mary came over and said, oh, hey, are you Brendan? Oh, hey, Brendan. Oh, this is my partner, Sean. Cool. And here's his friend Will, and da-da-da, and another, and we just started talking, and then had that meeting. I don't think I said anything in that meeting, but I listened with great interest, and I was like, wow, these people are on the same page. And then the next meeting, I think I actually said something to the room, and everybody in the room all nodded their head in agreement, and I was like, whoa, that's never happened before. Far out.
Like-minded, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I normally get shunned out, or I normally get told to shut up, or someone. And there's no big egos in the room either. Like everybody just lets everybody talk, and if there is somebody like that, they tend to not last very long, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm on the shore. Yeah.
Carry on.
Are there any? Like, what about you, Vinny? Do you know of many freedom groups in Auckland that we could join up or anything like that?
Yeah, my ex Rebecca started a freedom pizza party group with Brian Mooney some time ago, and they're all still together. They're still all friends, and they still have get-togethers and that kind of thing. Myself, I bumped into lots of people just randomly going around in my neighbourhood doing shopping or whatever, and they'd be like, are you Vinny Eastwood? And I was like, yeah, and I grabbed their number and put them in my little notebook under the Green Bay Truth thing, and so whenever I want to do something, I text out my Green Bay Truth people, and we get together and can do the same thing.
Cool.
So it's not easy. Like, I think Rebecca did it really well because that was right in the height of the protest season, and she would walk around. You know how some people have instincts for people, that kind of thing. She's got real good instincts sometimes. And she found all of these people and invited them to there and established that group. And so it's certainly possible to just start your own little freedom group. All you got to do is just get people with like minds on a text or an email or anything like that, wherever you meet them, however, and just invite them round and have an event. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah. Yeah, because I also got involved in a VFF group randomly through friends in Wellington as well. So I do a Freedom Alliance and a VFF group, and I mean some nights on like we do it on a Monday night in Kingston and Wellington. If anyone's interested, just look us up. And sometimes there's not actually anything really in particular that we talk about. We just have a night where we just openly talk about what conspiracies we think one night we had one on the craziest conspiracy you can think of or know about, and we just had a bit of, and it was amazing because it was just really good to be able to talk to people in a environment where you can feel safe to talk about it. Like we talked about the transgender agenda, how like all the celebrities are all transvestites and all that. We talked about flat Earth. We talked about space being a hoax. Everything. It was awesome just to be able to, in a room full of 10 or 15 people, to just be able to talk like that openly. And that there's some people that don't believe you or don't want to have a bar of it, but it's okay because they can say what they think as well. And it's just really, it's quite healthy to get it off your chest, because I was reluctant to bring up the trans investigation stuff, the transgender agenda.
I found out the name of the surgical procedure that they used to transition a woman into a man It's called a strapedectomy.
Sure. Hey, I got a message here from Karen. I discovered you, Vinny, when I was looking into medical cannabis for my daughter back in the days. Must have been when you were still on YouTube. Thank you for all you do and have done. Smiley face. It's it's so freeing being in a group space of like-minded people.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. My standard response usually, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday or the day before or something like that. You know how some people can't take a compliment, right?
Yep.
You know, instead of going, "Oh, thank you, I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. That makes me feel better about myself." Instead, what you say is, "Oh, yeah, that's because I did this, that, and the other." It's like, no. Like, when you get that urge to explain away why somebody gave you a compliment or something like that, fight that urge. Say thank you. Because, honestly, compliments are so powerful and so cheap to give to people that you know, there's an inverse relationship between how much time it takes to give somebody a compliment and how much they really get from it, you know.
I got a message from Marion. We haven't lost our friends, they decided to lose us.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yep. That's a harsh one, eh?
Yeah.
Deal with what we're saying.
I think it's funny. You know, like a lot of my friends, Vinny.
It's like the trash.
And how they're so crazy.
Yeah.
That's why I think I haven't lost so many friends, because you know what I mean. They're pretty open-minded people.
Yeah. I like your friends. It was great that time when we did what was it, New Year's or something like that, and I was sitting there and I was like looking around. You know, I'm not sure how people see the world, but I see it kind of like you know. In the Terminator, how sometimes it cuts to what the Terminator sees, and there's all these freaking algorithms running and all these little targets and stuff like that. That's sort of sometimes how I see the world, because I'm looking at all the ins, outs, possibilities, what people's names are, what their backgrounds are, so on and so forth, and generating this kind of big picture in my head of whatever. And that night I realized something really important, is that Barack has something that I not only don't have, but actually maybe have never really had: a sense of community. Right? Actual people who get together on the regular, who know each other, who sort of got each other's backs, you know? And that sense of community, just in a general way, has been almost eradicated, because one thing that Barack's friend told me, I forget exactly his name, when he grew up, his dad imported televisions into New Zealand, into his little small town. He says it was almost like one day you were walking down the street in the evening, and you'd stop at pretty much every house and have a yarn with whoever was out on their porch, and then it was like the next day there was nobody there to talk to, or there was just this glow coming out of their home, and he's hated televisions ever since.
Yeah, I heard
Christmas.
I heard somebody similar, an older person, tell me something very similar to that. All of a sudden, overnight, it was just.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I guess it's like kids with phones these days. You know, they're in the lounge, but they're not there. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And suddenly it was no, I've got to go watch this show. I can't do that. I've got this important TV show to watch. You know. It's disgusting.
Yeah. You're enslaved by satanic pedophiles who are planning on enslaving you even further in a nightmarish black future that mankind can't even have the fathoming capacity to even realize how bad it's going to be. And your priority is to spend more time absorbing their entertainment, which brainwashes you into accepting it.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, you know, like our whole thing is, our whole tagline is, we are solutions-based radio. You know, there is a way out of this. There is, you know, and we have been talking to people about solutions, and it's really cool to actually get people's ideas on what a solution could be.
Well,
and I've been writing down every caller and what they've talked about, and in 6 months or whatever, or a year, I'll do a overview on what the general consensus is. So I've got a bit of a database forming, and I think it'll be useful.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason why it's called Area 51 is because the elites know that once 51% of people believe something, that something basically becomes true. Okay? And what we are going to do, if we're clever enough, if we work hard enough, is get 51% of the people on our side of the fence rather than the other. I remember one time I was talking with one of the musicians from 8 Foot Sativa, and we came up with a T-shirt idea, which is during the battle between good and evil, some will choose good, some will choose evil, but most will sit on the fence to see who comes out on top. We are trying to burn the fence down.
Okay.
To force people to knowingly choose good or knowingly choose evil. And that was something that I noticed in my arrest, is that it was very traumatic for me, and I wasn't exactly sounding like the bravest or something like that. So naturally, a whole bunch of people without empathy, decided that they would have a go and make fun of me for being traumatized, being arrested by the police. It was just like,
that was a horrible situation, bro. I totally get where you came from in that situation. I probably would have been the same, and also the fact that nobody really surrounded you and stopped them from doing what they did, I think was a bit disappointing.
Oh, we had plenty of people surrounding me. The problem was that we hadn't been trained, to repel a penetration formation that the police had done. So penetration formation is, and I'm sure if you've had sex with a woman, you'd understand that the way that they get all the way in there, in a straight, hard line, and they just push and push until eventually they're all the way in, and then they get what they want. And that was me. I was the center point of that particular endeavor of the penetration move. Now, the thing about this is, had we trained as a group, how do you form up if you want somebody to prevent being arrested or something like that? And there was some work that was done by Dan Dix in Canada, a documentary that he did where the police used a technique called kettling, where they would herd protesters into an intersection from 4 different directions, and then as all the protesters are trapped, they would then just arrest them one by one until they're all gone. And they had basically no defense against it. And this is quite a very difficult tactic to counteract, because, again, we are not part of a unit. We're just ordinary people who are just there together, not military trained, not police trained, not martial arts trained. So these people who are, at least in some way of training, have basically, they just rolled over us like a mower would grass. Right? You realize how vulnerable you are. And I'm sure everybody who was at Wellington was probably just as traumatized, if not more, as I was, by the police implementing this kind of vicious tactic. But the point here is that people have a lack of empathy. When you see people going through that kind of stuff and just sit there jeering at them and kicking them while they're down kind of thing, it just shows what a piece of crap you really are, right? That, like, you're actually enjoying it because you would have done it better, right? But you weren't there, were you? Okay? You didn't go out there and sacrifice yourself and and make the police look like the brutal machine that they are as a sacrifice play to show people, right? And then, of course, after that happened to us, nobody listened. Nobody learned the lesson. You cannot negotiate with the New Zealand police. You cannot negotiate with the New Zealand government. Period. Protesting will do absolutely nothing. Nothing. Because they're not prepared to listen. They're not prepared to do what's right. What do you do when you're faced with that reality? You ignore it and then you have a big protest, and then you get all the would-be people who want freedom in this country to pour money, time, and effort, and in return get severely traumatized and in some cases so sick that they can't really protest ever again. Okay, that's what happens when you don't listen. That's what happens when you don't learn the lessons. That's what happens when you don't talk to the people who know what they're talking about, who've actually been through it before. Virtually everybody who went down to Wellington had virtually never protested before. They were nothing in the freedom movement until all of a sudden, now they are. They didn't come and speak to anybody about it. There was... Oh man, there's like 100+ activists, if not maybe more than that, who I learned little pieces of the puzzle of what the New Zealand police and the New Zealand government are really capable of when they really don't like you, when your protest is just starting to take off. And this is what I was going to say earlier about the Occupy movement. Okay, I remember Red Star 309's, it was his moniker, of course. He was on the phone to me just saying, "This is it, Vinny, we're going to beat him, we're going to beat him." And even at that time, I was still a cynical journalist, and I thought to myself, really? You think people who've got nuclear weapons, who satanically ritually abused children for fun, are going to be frightened by tents? They're just going to suddenly back to, oh my God, these people have got canvas! Whatever will we do?
See, this is the thing that confuses me about people that say, oh, we need a whole new government, we need a whole new system, da-da-da, right? Okay, let's just say the government went, oh, okay, yeah, you can have our parliament, yeah, sweet as, right? Our allies will immediately come in and attack New Zealand because we're sitting ducks. We've got no defence. It's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a message here from
one
Cassie.
second, just before
Casey?
that message.
Cassie, I saw that message. Thanks, Casey, for that.
New Zealand's Air Force, it is said, would last approximately 7 minutes if we were attacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get on to that message from Cassie there.
Oh, yeah. Great conversation, guys. Thank you. Wish you were on every night and hope to see you grow your following. XX.
Hey, cool. Thanks.
Sweet.
Thank
you.
Yeah. It'll be good to do it every night.
Now, you can see that Telegram. Are you watching the Facebook chat, Brendan? Anything come up there?
I've got a friend of mine is watching. Hey, Kev. That's all we've got. We've got 4 watchers on Facebook, and we've got analytics. We are up to 17 total listeners. Boom. 0204 NZ free if you're on 2 degrees. Skinny Mobile 0204 me free if you want to join in the discussion. Whoever's been messaging us, give us a call. Don't be afraid. It's good to hear different people's opinions, and also interrogate Vinny Eastwood. Here he is. He's with us tonight.
We've got another message here. Big Norm. Another great place to find like-minded people is a common law group. In Auckland, there is a Thursday night bi-weekly meeting, 7:30 p.m. at St. Barnabas Church, Mount Eden. If you are lucky enough to live in Hamilton, there is a weekly meeting every Wednesday.
Yeah, I used to go along to a common law group on a Thursday night here in Wellington in Parapara Umu, and I loved it. I don't know why I don't go anymore. I don't think it's going anymore, but yeah, I loved it. I learnt so much. Yeah, Alishon was her name, and she took a great class, and it was so cool because I just naturally like common law. I don't know what it is about it. I just find it really easy because it's common sense. Common law is common sense. And I liked it because I could contribute to the class and actually and I felt like I was contributing. I felt like I was actually getting somewhere with that. And yeah, I just learned so much about common law. I love it. Big
Norm said pram. I don't know what that's related to.
That's if you're a Wellingtonian and you can't be bothered saying para umu I every single time, and you're lazy, you go pram. Because the other one it's shortened to paraparam. Para umu has been shortened to paraparam, and then that's been shortened to pram. It's a bit like in Auckland, Takapuna has been shortened to Taka.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like how Good morning, sir. How goes the morrow? Tell us of your family. Has been reduced to sup.
Like, on building sites, quite often the labourers talk to each other. They don't say bro, they just go.
What does that mean?
It's not bro anymore. It's just hey. Bro.
Yeah, it's quite half a syllable.
It's like half a syllable.
To save time, it's just we.
I'm surprised Arthur hasn't rung up. He must be crashed out.
Yeah. 0204 NZ free if you're on 2 degrees, or Skinny Mobile 0204 me free. We
Is
are
this
open
Arthur from the Councilman tour that we were on?
Yeah. He's been quite legend Vinny, Karen.
Oh, cheers, Karen.
Yeah, man, I remember listening to you. I first picked up on you, Vinny, at about 2012-ish. And I was just like, wow, here's this guy from New Zealand getting all these, like, international interviews, like David Icke.
Yeah.
Santos Bonacci?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I am so much I could tell when he was lying. He has a certain sequence that he follows when he's not telling you the truth. It's called the Fib Bonacci sequence.
Yeah, I saw him on Facebook today. He's still out there. I don't know if it's an old footage or what.
Doesn't he live in South America now?
Oh, I don't know.
No, there was that guy from Australia.
Max Egan.
Yeah, Max Egan. Yeah. You've had him on too.
Yeah. At one...
See, man, anyone you can think of, you've had. And it just used to blow me away that what you were doing at that time in New Zealand just amazed me, and that's when I became a follower. And it's like a full circle now. Like, here you are appearing on our show.
Yeah, I've inspired a lot of people around the world to start their own shows. I think there might be by 8 or 20 or something like that shows that I've been on that I've either A, helped set up, or B, have been the first guest, or C, have been the inspiration behind people starting the show. And I just repeat on my show all the time that the time is and always has been now to stop making excuses and start putting in a little bit of effort, all right? If you want to become an expert at something, if you want to learn the guitar, speak French, or start a radio show or something like that, 20 minutes a day. That's 100 hours a year. Do you have any idea how productive you can be if you spend 100 hours on practically anything,
Looks like Arthur on the phone.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you'll enjoy Arthur, Vinny.
Hello, is that Arthur?
G'day, Vinny. How are you? Good to hear you, mate.
Oh, cheers, mate. I'm borderline and on fabulous. Maybe a little bit fantastic. How are you doing?
Yeah, not much. I have been critical of some of this repetitious stuff of yours, I must admit. But it seems that, how you've settled down and you've done you sounded really great. And it's good to see you're over the rough patch.
Oh, cheers, brother.
Yeah, the rough patch is where you learn, and it's good to hear. And I've been very impressed with the way you handled tonight. I can tell you that.
Oh, thanks, man.
What the point you made, just married, you mentioned Max Egan.
Mm.
Now, the videos you made in Christchurch, you gave to Max, didn't you?
No.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, I thought you handed that stuff to Max.
No, Max, because after the Christchurch mosque massacre, it was illegal to engage in journalism in New Zealand.
Well, that's right, but before that was imposed, and didn't Max get a copy somehow?
I mean, I have no idea what Max did with the footage or what has been going on.
That video is in his archives.
Yes, because it's not only illegal to be a journalist in New Zealand, it's also illegal to be curious regarding the Christchurch mosque massacre. So in an effort to keep myself out of jail, I've had to purposely just sit back and just like, no.
Yeah, it's just that that was the accusation against Kelvin and Hannah, basically, that they had a copy of that video on their records.
I believe that's
Telegram.
That's part of the allegations of the Crown, yeah.
was a link on Telegram, apparently, to one half of the doco.
Yeah.
Which was actually put out days before they made it illegal. So whether they...
Yeah. So the video is floating around, and I've listened to Max a few times, and he often says that is in his archives. But anyway, that's by the by.
I wanted to actually, on that note, Arthur, and I thank you for bringing this up, because I wanted to thank the international community for doing their investigations, making the documentaries and things of that nature on behalf of the New Zealanders who would be put in jail if they tried.
Okay.
Yeah. It's disgusting, eh? Don't question.
Yeah, another guy you don't hear much about, I think you are aware who he is Brendan O'Connell.
Yeah, I had Brendan on the show a couple of times, I think.
Very few people realise the work he's done, and he's sort of gone quiet a bit, but he's still going.
Mm.
And if anybody is in any doubt about the Zionist influence in Australia and New Zealand, just check out his stuff. You know, he's been through hell and back trying to disclose that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed that the Henry Kissinger of Australia is Frank Lowy, who was just bolted to Israel.
Mm.
The Frank Lowy Institute, and this Frank Lowy character, he is the one that financed Larry, the guy that bought the Twin Towers, 3 months.
Larry Silverstein.
Larry Silverstein. Right, now Frank Lowy is the main puppet master of the Australian government. He's the Kissinger of Australia.
Yeah.
He's just been bolted, and lo and behold, there's the Australian Prime Minister in the House yesterday disclosing the names of the Jewish lobby in Australia in the House. That to me is a huge reversal in Australia somehow. I don't know, have you read that, or have you noticed that?
No, I didn't, because the government didn't repeat it for 6 weeks on 1,000 different media 1,000 times a day, which is what the Russians...
that was just frequent.
What do you think that means, Arthur? What does it mean to you? What do you think that
Well,
means?
what it means is, I think, the Zionist cabal, whatever you want to call them, the mafia, are on the way out. And these guys are running for cover.
Okay.
Right? And now they're running for cover. Now, you notice Billy Takahika brought this up the other day, that Peters has gone to the United Nations. Now, he's back in New Zealand. Now, what he told Blinken is the new Kissinger of the United States. He told him that New Zealand was not going to go along with the Five Eyes guys over the Israeli thing, which surprised me as well.
Mm.
All right, so Peters is actually hesitating. He's not committing himself to the Five Eyes thing, but he's sitting on the fence, if you like. He's not going one way or the other.
Is it because of possible war crimes or what?
That he committed?
Well, what I'm saying, if you watch the TikTok stuff today, Israel's on its way out. It's had it. It's going to be over. This will be the excuse for collapsing the Western capitalist system. And this is why BRICS has been set up. And as we're going to go through this really rough time for a while until the pain is good enough. Then they'll come up with a solution. It's problem, reaction, solution stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And when we've been through that period, the solution will be BRICS. What people don't realise that all the BRICS countries are still controlled by the Reserve Bank system, and the currency is still printed by Belarus, which is still Russia. So you're out of the frying pan into the fire. You go back. If you go, look at the Chinese communist setup and the Russian setup, that was initiated by the Rothschilds and the Frankfurt crowd, way back in the beginning of last century. Now, I've never heard anybody bring that up. They talk about the Chinese threat, the Russian threat, and so on. Now, the question I'm still trying to answer is what percentage of the Chinese and the Russian people would accept the Rothschild plan or the globalist takeover of Russia and China. There's huge opposition of building in our part of the world. That's why they're on the run. But is that same thing happening in Russia and China, I wonder?
Oh, definitely. I think China wants to keep its
where
culture,
people are waking up to what this global agenda is and what are the percentages. How much control has the CCP actually got over the 1.4 billion Chinese?
Let alone us.
Yeah, I made this
point.
Well,
they've got us. They've got us. There's no resistance here, but we are the alternative, which is what, 2% or 3%. But the percentages are much higher overseas. And you can get $1 million. 1 million people come marching through London and drop a hat these days. And look, everywhere. And Wellington's the best shop we had, but
well, one of the points that I thought was really prescient about this is that there is a belief, and there's a lot of evidence to substantiate this belief, is that Jews control the world, basically. They're on all the centers of power, they control the banking and the corporations and so on and so forth, and in the Torah and all of that kind of stuff. Like, for example, I think they believe that Jesus should have been boiled in shit and semen, right? Like this is how affront these people are to a conservative Christian audience, right? They're basically, it's like the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah was the basis of Freemasonry, and all of these secret societies and things of that nature are all Jewish. Right, they're based.
Before you go any further, Vinny, the Jewish thing is used as a cover. I don't believe the Zionism is Jewish. Khazarian mafia is a much better way of looking at it. There are various tribes of Jews, as Shabbat, Lubavitch, as Ashkenazi, just different types of Jews. You can't lump them all into one box.
That's right. And I think what's interesting there to note is I was on a show one time of some guys who have this, the Jew is their subject. That is all they talk about. They only talk about the Jew and what the Jew does. And what they mean by that is specifically the political and corrupt parts of Jewry that indeed run the world and work in concert. And it's much like how in Freemasonry you have what's known as porch masons, who are not very interested in the occult teachings of Freemasonry. They might just be going to the lodge so that they can hang out with their mates, have a few beers, maybe make a few business connections or something of that nature. They don't know what's going on inside Freemasonry. And that same dynamic works within global Jewry as well. There's lots of Jews who have no idea.
The bottom layer doesn't know what's going on at the top layer. The same as in Judaism.
Yeah.
But the same as in Catholicism. You got the Catholic and you got the Jesuit on the top. And the bottom doesn't know what the top's doing. And all these pyramid structures are the same. That's why they're set up that way. It's not just
compartmentalization.
That's exactly right.
Yes, G. Edward Griffin explained it to... Oh, sorry, Arthur. G. Edward Griffin explained it to me like this. They have a system called rings within rings within rings. So in the top ring, let's say us four here are starting a conspiracy. What I tell you is that this is the top tier of the conspiracy, okay? There's nobody above us, when meanwhile there is somebody above us. But what I tell you to do is go out and create your own group of 4 people, and you tell them that group that you're starting is the top tier. So that's 4 people starting 4 groups that are all top tier. And then what you do with those 4 people in your new group that you've started is you tell them to create 4 other groups each, and you tell them that it's all the top tier. So at this point, us four, the one who actually are initially starting the quote-unquote conspiracy, can make the entire world do exactly what we want without anybody knowing it's us doing it.
Yeah, I'm not quite with you on that one, but anyway, you're talking about what percentage, well, this comes up, what percentage of the human race do you need to get on side before you make a difference?
51%.
How many?
51% to have a psychological revolution, but in terms of actual boots on the ground revolution, it's between 3 and 8%.
It's not that much. It's something where, well, I've heard figures 10 to 11% will do it, and this is based on revolutions in the past. When it reaches that critical number, the rest will follow anyway.
Well, if I may, Arthur, just clarify.
New Zealand, I'll give you an example of how I think it works. You can go anywhere in New Zealand, you'll see a good shepherd, two eye dogs, and a couple of hundredways, and they will drive 3,000 sheep wherever they want with complete accuracy, as long as the shepherd knows what he's doing, and as long as there's eye dogs so you can see, and as long as there's a bit of a shove from the back. Now that example, I reckon, also works with human beings to a degree. You don't need a huge amount of people to shift the mob. All you need is a small group, tightly organised and focused on where they want their mob to go.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Now, going back to counterspin, if you look at it that way, counterspin can get that mob together beautifully. If you get it nice and tidy and focused, and sort of push that message, this is where we're going, this is how we're going to do it, and sort of keep pushing that angle. Where's the target? Don't go shooting all over the place. We know what needs to be done. And the Wellington thing, when that was a turning point in New Zealand history, as far as I'm concerned, I couldn't believe that New Zealanders could come together so fast in such a short period of time and be so effective. We didn't have hardly any warning before that started, and I still can't figure out who was actually initiated that thing. Does anybody figure out who actually initiated it? Yeah, that's where it started, but who in New Zealand actually did it? It wasn't Voices of Freedom. It wasn't. I hadn't worked it out. I thought there must have been some group there initiating Wellington. But
it's a good question.
It all just sort of came together. Like if I may, James Corbett of the Corbett Report brought me onto this idea of the peer-to-peer economy, and it works in activism as well as it does in economics. What you'll find is that if you centralize power and control, you actually lose productivity the further down the chain that you get, whereas if you make everything kind of independent but collaborative, you can do things much, much faster than these older organizations. For instance, during the Fukushima radiation leaks in Japan in 2012, there was the Atomic Energy Commission and the main atomic agencies of Japan trying to get out data to people, whereas a private group, just with people collaborating and stuff like that, sticking Geiger counters on their cars and going out and then sending in their data to somebody who's putting it on a spreadsheet, got significantly more data, and it was more accurate than these major agencies, and it was done at a fraction of the cost in a fraction of the time. So that means that things like Wellington can just happen because people are organizing amongst themselves, and it makes it look like there's a huge organization that must be behind all this. But no, it was everybody who came together in a peer-to-peer manner.
Anyway,
I think on that, was it River of Freedom? They in the beginning because would you call it a decoy? Convoy. What do you call it? Convoy. I think they sort of pointed out who was sort of starting that. I think.
Mm.
Okay, well, it's enough on that one. The other thing I'd like to bring up, the review. Everybody's talking about this review about the COVID injuries and Billy Tikaki's done. New Zealand doctors have done it. Counterspin's done it. How many times have we got to do this? Why don't we just collect all those different groups that have already done the vaccine injury stuff? But the biggest one of all was brought out on this program last week. Helen Petrousos Harris was given $8 million by the Johns Hopkins Medical School way back in the beginning of COVID, and she now has 400,000 cases tabulated at Auckland University to send to Johns Hopkins University. Now, she's actually being paid by us, so that he's got a taxpayer. Let's put lean on her a bit and ask her to disclose those 400,000 cases she got on file.
Mm.
We'll not need any more reviews. She's already got them.
Again, I understand this because we need clarity in order to figure out exactly what was done and how it was done and stuff of that nature, whereas I have a very different nature to other people. I believe that if you sort of know what's going on, then the data becomes irrelevant. For example, if your country is $100 billion in debt or is actually $155 billion, those numbers are so huge that it becomes irrelevant what the number is. It is irrelevant how many people... I understand, but in my opinion, it's irrelevant how many people got damaged. It's irrelevant how many people died. It's irrelevant how many people lost their businesses and things of that nature. The fact is they did, and any number that we put on that is just like it doesn't really matter. What matters is the enforcement. If we've got these findings and we can prove them, etc., that's all very well and good, but if the New Zealand police are not going to enforce the law against the parliamentarians or on themselves even for the crimes against humanity that they've committed, you're chucking papers at somebody who's got a rifle to defend their case, you know?
Yeah, I can't agree. There are a lot of people very interested to find out exactly the extent of the injuries done by the vaccine.
Is that part of the COVID inquiry stuff?
Has that evidence? She's been paid $8 million to collate it for a university in the United States.
Doesn't that go into the COVID inquiry, the first reading or whatever?
Wilson's supposed to be going to do a review. New Zealand doctors, SOS, have already done it. Counterspin's done their bit. Billy Tikahi, he's had a go. How many times do you need to do it? It's already been done.
Question
at
is,
Auckland University.
The question is...
We are paying her salary to get her to hand it over.
That's right. Now, how many of those reviews actually accomplished anything? Right? Like, who got to jail? Who got taken to court? Anybody?
Well, without the evidence, without how we're going to lay any charges without the evidence, how we're going to prove that they've been lying without the evidence of how many have paid the price? Yeah,
but which court are we going to be trying it in? Is it a New Zealand court, which are profoundly corrupt?
Okay, we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that part. There's no point going to their court. There's no point in even thinking about their court. And if you listen to Liz Gunn, what she said, it's a waste of time going to politics. I agree, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of the political arena and start a people's movement. And we have our own court. And this radio station is the jury and the judge of the people. We don't need their bloody legal system. We can do our own.
All right, now...
But we need the numbers to be able to do it.
The question is, who's going to do the cop's job? And the police's job is intimidation and kidnapping. So the question is, who's going to intimidate and kidnap these terrible crimes against humanity people,
The only reason they kicked us off Wellington is that they flew cops in from all around New Zealand. They had the numbers. Now, if we'd all gone back to the main cities and had many Wellingtons and 7 or 8 cities around New Zealand, they wouldn't have stopped us. They wouldn't have stopped us. We should have. But,
Interesting.
I completely and utterly...
I came back to Kerry with the Voice of Freedom the following Saturday, and the police station had been covered in red paint, and so did the police cars. That was just a little group. Now, if we'd had been better organised in Wellington, spread back across the country after the Wellington, We could have tidied it up then. There was enough anger in this country, and they would never had enough police to control the people. But after Wellington, they just sort of died, and it didn't go any further.
Well, former Constable Buck Rains told me that there are only 10,000 police officers in New Zealand, and there are 5 million plus people in New Zealand. So that's basically nobody. They are completely vulnerable. If the people started targeting police stations, things of that nature, there'd be nothing the New Zealand police could actually stop an angry public.
They're better organised.
Right, we've got a message here from Clay Drummond. A lot of them were not even cops. Some were found to be security guards in cops' uniforms.
That's right. Yeah, well, and a lot of the cops didn't want to be there.
Yeah, totally.
The large percent of the cops, and they live in. There's 50 police left in Auckland just this year. The cops are falling, and they're introducing the. I don't know where the hell they're getting the new ones from. You can imagine. They've got in Australia, it's Indians and all sorts of bloody stuff. And people that aren't even Australians are now signing up for the police force. And the same thing will be happening here. I think a huge percentage of the New Zealand police force are sickened by what they were part of.
Yeah, and now they are continuing to collect paychecks and continuing to ruin people's lives on a daily basis and continue to obey orders instead of their conscience.
Yep. And what you left has got the mongrel cops, the good ones that have been squashed and squeezed out.
I disagree. I don't think there's any good cops. There aren't any.
There used to be. We used to have the best police force in the world, bar none. And I had total respect for them. I've been around. I've experienced cops everywhere, mate. We had the best in the world. And I know ex-coppers my age, and we had an excellent bloody police force. But over the years, it's been undermined, and it's just got like politics. In the last 50 years, this country has done a 180-degree turn on basically everything that this country used to be good at. You know, the governments, the education, whatever you look at, the university's been corrupted with it. It's a whole lot has been corrupted to hell. And unfortunately, the average New Zealander has been done such a way, they haven't realised it's happening. Now it's too bloody. Well, now I think it's too late to stop it. It ain't too late. We can still stop.
Yeah, I was thinking about the liver, right? If your liver is damaged, it will produce apathy, right? And if you have a look at the New Zealand diet and lifestyle, all of the things that we do, sugar, coffee, cigarettes, and all of those kind of things, pesticides on the food blower, they all damage the liver and produce an apathetic population who will just passively accept anything that comes down the pipe.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm setting up community gardens up here, and you had a show on last week. There's some callers. Now, there's an excellent thing to bring up, because there's little community gardens, communities all around this country. And my main reason is to get people out of the bloody supermarkets. Yeah. The supermarkets are the biggest killers on planet Earth, and people don't realise. They are. The biggest murdering outfit on our supermarkets, the crap people are buying. Now, let's get that out and hammer that home. And there's a guy, the controversial Kiwi, I don't know if you've seen him, he's on YouTube, and he's had a huge audience almost immediately by taking the supermarkets on about price gouge. And the same thing is happening in Australia. The supermarket chains are on the back foot because they're exposed. And that's kind of controversial Kiwi. He had 100,000 people within no time because he was showing up the price gouging, especially in meat, the false weights, the prices on meat, and he's still going. The controversial, check him out. He's done really well. But if we could expand what he's doing through what you're doing and really hammer these bloody supermarkets and stop them killing people. Come on, it's a cool idea.
Like, every time that anybody has any idea to advance the cause of freedom, my advice is go and do it yourself. Just hurry up and immediately go and do it, because that's how humankind actually really works, I think, is that individuals taking responsibility for one thing that they're passionate about in the cause of freedom. That's how everything works.
Yep.
Up here, this is I've got one going in Kerikeri, that's going well. I've got the next one going here in Russell. And the idea is, once we get the numbers up and we get the quantities up, we're going to set up a barter system right opposite the bloody supermarket.
Good.
No, it will be our cashless society, not theirs. It'll just be straight barter. And,
Good.
you know, if you make a cake or you make soap or whatever you do, barter your goods. Whatever they make in the supermarket, we can do ourselves. You can make the wine, the booze, the whole bloody lot.
Yep.
Now, on the booze, now here's something you can get out. Doug Myers handed all the breweries in this country over to Sahi when he was the head of the round table. He was the Kissinger of New Zealand in those days. And since the Sahi took them over, they were bought out by Heineken. And who has bought Heineken?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. Now, get that out in front of the New Zealand bloody drinker. That if he wants to drink bloody Bill Gates' piss, good luck to him. It has always been proven that Heineken kegs are transporting Heineken export are transporting endochrome in those kegs around the world.
Yeah, it's written on the top of the keg. I saw an image.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
endochrome printed into the steel.
For the listeners, what's endochrome?
no, adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome. Okay, yeah.
Adrenochrome?
Yeah, and that adrenochrome, the king of that is John Key's mate, Peter Thiel. He was trying to build a hack down in Wanaka.
See, I remember this.
Supposedly Cindy's double as well.
I remember this actually. I was walking into a liquor store one time to get myself a box of beer, and I came up to the counter with a box of Heinekens, and I was like, wait, I hate Heinekens. Why the hell am I doing this? It's just freaking weird, man. I don't know. Maybe they're putting something in the radio waves or something that my brain downloaded accidentally.
You would have just seen Heineken billboard.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll leave it there, fellas. Great chat. Keep up the good work.
Cheers, Arthur. You're a good man. You're a good man. You're a good man doing good things, Arthur.
Hang on. Catch you later.
Cheers, brother. Thank you so much. What a great call.
Now, there was a message from David Trotter earlier. Hi, Vinny. I used to listen to you every Sunday morning here on RBN. Do you know RBN?
Yeah, Republic Broadcasting Network, yeah. I'm on groundzero.radio, same time slot.
Okay, awesome. Really miss you not being there. The link went on RBN and caused the station to be reprimanded about that.
Yeah, I remember this mass email. Like, I don't know if anybody else has been in this position, but I get a lot of emails that I just don't read because they're just too long and they're probably written by somebody who's like, I don't know. But anyway, this one particular email, I started reading it and it was full of all of this crap that I normally ignored. But something told me, keep reading this email. And down the bottom of the email, it talked about the other radio show hosts on RBN. And it was said something like this: if any of the other yahoos on this network want to know what a real talk radio show host sounds like, listen to the Vinny Eastwood show. He listens to what they say and then he responds to what they said. This is how a conversation is supposed to work, right?
Yeah. Right through.
And so, yeah, actually, a lot of people have been asking about me going on RBN, but they made a financial decision. Somebody was willing to pay for my time slot, and I couldn't afford to pay for my time slot, so they took them, and I'm off the network. But I'd never been paid to do my talk radio show until now. Had they not kicked me off, Ground Zero Radio wouldn't have picked me up, and I would never get any money for my broadcasting that I've been doing all these years, kind of thing. So it's like, thank you, for every, what was it? Every door that closes, a window opens?
Yeah, or another door opens.
Yeah. Something like that, I believe, is the nomenclature.
Ah, good stuff, Vinny. Good on you.
So my show is starting in 12 hours-ish. From now on the VinnyEastwoodShow.com on groundzero.radio. Of course, I'm not doing my show live on groundzero.radio because I can't actually get my main network computer went down, and now I cannot reset or for the life of me, get any help, not from the network, not from the radio thing or whatever, to be able to actually help me reset it. They just don't have the skills. So yeah, I'm not going to be live, but my archives will be live up there. So if you want to listen to more of the Vinny Eastwood show, go to groundzero.radio. I believe they upload it to iHeartRadio and Spotify and Podbean. So if you've got those apps on your phone, you can go and check out the Vinny Eastwood show there. But easiest way to do it is just go to thevinnyeastwoodshow.com and click on latest, and there's a whole list of really great shows there. Include, I think, a recent one we did with Drs. Guy Hatchard and Dr. Rima Labo, that was really good. And I got a call from somebody who I haven't spoken to for some time I was involved with in the cannabis movement, saying they listened to my reasonably recent show about how to get the truth out. And they were like totally blown away by how much I understood and how clear my explanations were, kind of thing, and they were real proud of me. So I was just like, yeah, it's good to hear feedback like that.
Oh, cool. That message carried on, I don't quite know. That is in regards to the message that Counterspin put out. I'll ring in and explain what happened. The link went on RBN and caused the station to be reprimanded about that. That is in regards to the message that Counterspin put out. I'll ring in. Not sure what that's about. There's another message. Big Norm. I am a key contributor to the Safecast group you mentioned, going back to the first days I was living in Japan during the meltdowns. Does that make any sense?
That was Safecast, I believe, with the organisation that wound up independently getting all their Geiger counter readings and things like that during the Fukushima meltdown of 2012. Perhaps that's what he's talking about. I'm just spitting that out off the top of my head. I don't really know.
Well, hopefully David Trotter will ring in and explain what he's talking about there. So you got kicked off RBN, did you?
Yeah.
And do you know? Is something about a link? Is that maybe what Arthur was talking about? The Christchurch stuff?
No, I wasn't kicked off because of that. They needed money, and I wasn't paying for my slot, and somebody wanted my slot, and they were willing to pay for it. So they just made a business decision. It's nothing personal.
Oh, he's talking about some link here. I'm not sure. Here comes a phone call. It might be. Let's see what it is. Hi there, caller. You're live. Who are we talking to?
Hi, good evening. It's David Trotter.
G'day, David.
Hi, good evening. Good evening. Hi, Vinny. Yes. Right, okay, I'll keep this short, I promise. Right, okay, yeah, thanks, Vinny. I really did enjoy listening to you every Sunday morning here from RBN. It was a great show. Totally different from your American counterparts, compatriots sort of thing. Really enjoyable, completely different, but really refreshing to hear your broadcast going out across America. That was what was really refreshing. At least some news got out, and your, angle and things were getting through to Americans. They're a little bit different from us, we know. So, but it still gave a good, angle on how things were going here. Anyway, what happened with the RBN? They posted, the RBN did actually post the link out, and I think it originally came from Counterspin. And what happened was there was a massive hoo-ha about that, because the Internet bodies got in touch with the RBN, the Internet of Things kind of people, and they tried to block it and pull it off. And John Statmiller at the time, was running around pulling what was left of his hair out, and basically threatening them to take them down, and they did lose a bit of connection. It went on for a good few days, even though the link was still up there, which I didn't click, believe it or not. I saw it there. It was a link to the video that was still there, and I thought, crap. One of us came from Counterspin and was like, okay, I'm not clicking that because it's going to come back to my IP address and I'll get traced, that I've actually watched it. So I didn't fall into that trap. I don't think it was set up there for that. It was just, innocent Americans trying to show off what happens here. it did cause a ruckus, in the studio. John, as I say again, John Stadtmiller at the time wasn't too happy about it. What happened in the end? Eventually, the video just disappeared, or then someone made it disappear. There's no apologies, no news, nothing about it. It was just like, okay. So that went on. It did cause a bit of a ruckus. I'm not 100%.
To my knowledge, before going on the network, I've been on it for over a year now. RBN wasn't any longer run by Stadtmiller because Stadtmiller had passed away. That's correct. This happened quite a few years ago. It's just that it came up tonight. Counterspin weren't around a few years ago. They're very, very recent.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for clearing that up. Thank you. It kind of gets a bit confusing when there's too much coming at you at one time.
Because then you're attributing something to not only a guy that's dead, but a media organisation that didn't exist.
Okay.
That's confusing.
Well, thank you for clearing that up. Thank you for mentioning that, because that's when the counterspin came up. Of course, I associated with that, and I'm thinking double think, So thanks for clearing it up, mate. Okay, well, blame me. Yeah, but that's what happened with the RBN at that time anyway.
I think it makes it tricky too. I think the government makes things tricky when we're in a global internet, right? And our government says, hey, you're not allowed to watch that, but the rest of the world can. And then so you're sharing things globally, but you're not allowed to watch. It's just trouble, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's what happened at the time, because I as I say, I kind of knew not to click on the link to it, because it was on the revolving menu at the time. The videos that come up, there was supposed to be a revolving headline, but you can actually click on the videos. And I thought, crap, I ain't watching that, because I could end up in trouble. I'll get back down my IP address somehow or other. And I thought, okay, you watch the video, here's 5 years in jail. So I thought, no, okay, I kind of know what it's about anyway, because I did watch the Max Egan links. Oh, God, did I say that? Yeah, I confess it.
No, you didn't.
Enjoy your 10 years in prison. That's a confession right there.
You watched it twice.
I did watch the Max Egan explainer about it. Okay, so he didn't put one out that could get him in trouble, and that one was well watched. Hopefully, it wasn't watched by anyone in government here, because I'm in trouble. No, it's okay. No, right. It was the explainer. So it wasn't actual video, because I think he knew what he was doing as well. Max would always know. Talk about it, but don't put your feet in it. This is shit, but don't stand in it. That kind of thing. So I watch Max all the time. So, and quite a few folks. So, but anyway. So what happened was John was up in arms about it. The rest of the station was gone. The internet bodies are after us. They wanted to block the DNS. That was right. That was the DNS servers that they were doing at the time, and they were threatening to pull them off, and which would give them no connection, of course. And so who, and it disappeared. Again. So okay. I'll apologise a second time. I thought it was a counterspin thing, but thanks, Vinny, for correcting me, so I'll take that back. I'll reprimand myself for that one. So I do apologise to counterspin about that. But it was just quite interesting that came up like that. That they're all up to shut it down, because John Stadtmiller did get complaints in from the New Zealand government directly. That was a direct message, and I did hear quite a few times getting mentioned that how come the New Zealand government has jurisdiction in America, and then it went to the internet, folk, because the higher power, who controls what we watch and what we look at and what we read. It went up to another level there, so that sort of kind of started to get out of everybody's hands, because in that realm, I don't think we've got much experience. I'm not quite sure, we're not. Sorry.
Well, and on that note of who gets to control what we can see and believe, and the watchdogs who are trying to expose them, just a side note, I need to go take a wiki leak, so I'm going to be right back real quick. I don't need to use my Assange this time, so I'll be right back, guys.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Vinny. Yeah, good to hear you. But yeah, it's one of those crazy things that happen when somebody else posts something. It went viral in another country, and all of a sudden the international bodies are after you. And it's all about. Then it comes to the legal term of jurisdiction and what happens to you. You're not allowed that, and it would cause such a massive carry on. Wow. As I say again. I didn't click on the damn link. I knew not to.
Yes.
Like I ain't because I'll come back to my IP address, and I thought I know what it's about. I briefly know what it's about. It's one of those things that deny that you ever say that, and under all circumstances, it was. Oh goodness sake! It's just crazy. But that carry on. That crazy thing was like what you're allowed to watch and what you're not allowed to watch. Given it force there, it was like crap. Is this sort of Stasi sort of thing coming so suddenly? All of a sudden, this law came in. It's just like crap. This is I can't watch Shortland Street on a repeat. Not that I do. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to. We've got you on your network channel thing on your box on TV. And it's just like, okay, well, if you're watching all that, then are you watching this? It's like, no, this is not good. This is more than Big Brother, and this is totally like, this is insane. You're right inside my life now, and that kind of gives you a really uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
It's just like, it just kind of makes you feel uncomfortable. Well, is this safe to watch this anymore? It's funny that during COVID, I read another statistic. I did read this. That during COVID, that most of New Zealanders were actually watching Pornhub.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I read. How do you know that? How do you know? Well, not me. I'm just saying. How do you know that people are watching that? Like, crap. Okay, so how many things do you know about us that we're doing that we think we're doing in private? But now you're actually telling us that the majority of people that during COVID lockdowns were actually watching porn. I was like, oh my God. How far into my life are you reaching without me knowing, or just not consciously knowing about what's going on?
It's just we think it's private. It's not. There's not a fact. We just think it's private.
Yeah.
They've told us it's private. It's just we just think it is.
Yeah. There just ain't no such thing as privacy no more.
No. Not even,
that's right.
Not even though
ever since 9/11 and the quote unquote war on terrorism and the Patriot Act and what was it called? What's the one that involves the Five Eyes? Sorry, I'm getting tired. I need to go to bed soon.
Sorry.
There's an operation that they have a year's worth of data on every single cell phone in New Zealand, right? All the calls, all the text messages, and they keep them in a loop, sort of thing. So it's like, yeah, man, they got everything. Why is my head so low in the screen on here? Are you guys adjusting it in the background, or is it just doing that itself?
That's you. That's your end, Vinny. I changed the scene to try and fix it, but
it's relative to how close you are to the camera, I think.
I like how I look all dead and zombie-like.
So if I get closer or further back, nah, see, it doesn't make a difference. It's just adjusting itself for some reason. It's weird.
Yeah, guys, I'm dead. Look at the colour of me. That's good for the three watchers on Facebook. Yeah, cheers, guys.
You look like you've got pericarditis.
Yeah, mate, I've got pericarditis. Good stuff.
Oh, well, looking forward to you next Wednesday. This Wednesday, David.
Oh yeah. Don't worry, I'm getting my paperwork together for that.
Oh,
but I'm just going to say, thanks for doing tonight's show. I did enjoy talking to you one time on the phone there. Probably about a year ago or something like that. But that was all good. So yeah, I've got your number and stuff like that. But yeah, but I really missed you being on RBN. You were actually my joyful voice on Sunday mornings. I think it was about 10 o'clock here. And so it was really good. So hopefully your show went out really well in the States. And as I says, it was good to give your retrospective to Americans what's actually going on here, your views and your attitude and your outgoing personality to Americans, because they're not quite sure where or how we are. So it's good to have a voice in New Zealand.
Well, I think
reaching out there. So that was,
the most common phrase that I get from my guests after a show, usually guests who've been on a lot of shows, like thousands or whatever, they'll be like, that was the best interview I've ever done. Like, it happens more often than you'd think. And the most common phrase that I get from the listeners is, the show is really refreshing, as you also said before. And the way that I do things is very, very, very different to how everybody else does things. Nobody does my show my way. I do my show my way. And I think that's just how I think everybody should run their shows. It should just be an extension of their personality and the way that they live their life. And the way that I live my life is fun, not too serious, but can be serious and can be not fun, right? So that there is actually a variance. And I was thinking about this the other day, is the reason why I'm getting into filmmaking now is because if you're in the conspiracy or in the news game, you are exposed to the genres, right? You know how there's drama? All right. You ever spoken to an activist about what the persecution that they went through or something? That's drama. You ever spoken to somebody about the censored technologies and things of that nature that the US government has available? There's your sci-fi. You ever talked about the ancient world and the epic of Gilgamesh, or the reptilian overlords that created our flesh? That kind of thing. There's your fantasy, right? Yeah. Tartaria also goes good on fish. Now, there's a way of going about things where you can make your jokes worse than the subject matter, and in so doing, because the jokes are just that bad, it lessens the blow. Like, I know that there's satanic pedophiles and things like that trafficking children left, right and centre, but at least they're not as bad as Vinny's jokes. It helps you to...
I mean, to me, you can make death sound enjoyable.
I know, right?
Well, it is the license.
Sorry, man, I had to get up on them. Sorry.
I could die and not have to listen to Vinny's jokes anymore. I'm starting to see the great goodness of this.
Okay, I better hang up and let some other callers call in. So, thanks for taking my call, and thanks for your call. Thanks for taking my call, Vinny. So, really enjoyable, Brendan and Barak. So, thank you again. I'll have your script ready for Wednesday, so don't worry.
And before you go, Chris, before you go, Mr. Trotter, just remember 10 a.m. is now the broadcast show time, and you can just go to the VinnyEastwoodShow.com and you can click on the latest there, or you can listen to it live on groundzero.radio. I stream it live on Facebook, Vinny Eastwood on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch as well. Twitch is probably the most reliable place to get it, but also the most difficult place to watch it for some people for some reason. But anyway, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Trotter.
Thanks for it. I'll get on to that again, because I do miss your shows, on RBM. So, you're a joy to my Sunday morning, so that was always good. So, thanks again, Vinny. Okay, thanks again, guys. Okay, thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, guys. Bye.
So if there's a bit of an audio problem, let us know in the comments. Thanks, Daniel, and thanks, Clay. Apparently it's not that clear feedback echoing. I did hear that, but I think it's stopped now. But I've also got a
Facebook Live.
Got a message here from Mike Gavin. We need a freedom summit in New Zealand. All welcome. My enemy's enemy is my friend. Unity is the key and always has been. Yeah, cheers for that.
Summit.
Yeah, we are solutions-based radio, and that's a good
what
solution.
would be a freedom summit? Just What would be
I don't know, maybe an ATS Square or something, or somewhere a bit more central. I don't know.
It'd be better if you actually did it at some kind of summit, like Mount Eden or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. One Tree Hill, no Tree Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. How about that? You do that big that big Paris. What is it? That big volcanic crater in the middle of.
Yeah, that would be cool, eh? They
You
don't
could-
really use them at all, do they?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
an amphitheatre. That'd be a natural amphitheatre, wouldn't it?
That'd be awesome. Echo stopped as soon as Dave disconnected. Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that gives me an idea to do some megaphoning from inside a volcanic crater. That'd be fun.
I love megaphoning. I keep a megaphone in my car, just in case. And boy, it's come in handy sometimes.
As do I.
Nice one.
I remember one time we were rolling past some person wearing their mask on their face, and they go, "Take it off!" Just as I'm rolling past with a megaphone.
I did one outside a whole bunch of people that were queuing in this place in Wellington called Kilburnie, but it's called the Recreation Centre, and queuing down the footpath for their rat tests. And I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe that people were queuing for a test to see if they had this thing that they had no symptoms for. It just blew my mind, all because it blew me away. And so here I was up and down the queue, up and down the street in my van, out the window with my megaphone, saying all sorts of things to them, just like, you have been brainwashed by the media, just stuff like that, because, man, it was just sickening. And they'd all just ignore me. They'd just put their heads down, head in their phones,
Yeah, I remember I took a megaphone to the Resolution Festival one time. It was like Franco who was like leading the crowd in this kind of like ceremony and song and stuff like that. And this music came down and the clapping stopped and there was this little silence and there's Vinny with his megaphone. That was reasonably okay.
I remember you and your megaphone doing some protests in Wellington, walking beside you, and like I'd give you some ideas, like as you were trying to rhyme.
Yeah.
And I'd like give you, and you'd like say them out over the megaphone. It was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I could do that. I remember somebody was coming up to me at a protest and they were talking about Judith Collins. She was going through some sort of corruption scandal or whatever, and then one of the protesters came up to me and they said, "Oh, actually, Vinny, she's still a member of Parliament. She hasn't even been kicked out yet." And I go, "Well, it's easy to be an MP when your soul is empty."
Yeah.
And when we were doing the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement protests, I remember I was heading down to Hamilton to help with. I brought these two freaking big 100-watt megaphones that I carry by myself, guns akimbo. And on my way down on the drive, I came up with a little bit of a rap. It was, the TPPA should be used for TP when you need to PP at a PPTA meeting.
Hey, look at this. Look at this, folks. Look, I've got one here actually right now with me.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
What is it?
Megaphone.
Oh, nice one.
Off, on. Hello, yo. Yo. Here's my megaphone.
Nice.
Megaphones always sound cooler or funnier or something like that because you expect protesting or some kind of chanting or whatever or some kind of directions to come out of it. And I remember one time, have you guys ever remember the Love Police from late 2009?
Oh, yeah.
Charlie Beach would go around.
Yes.
And they were just funny, man. They were using the megaphone to just talk to the crowd, and they were just really, really good with it. And so,
London, eh?
yeah, I did myself a Love Police a video myself with the megaphone out the window of the van while we were driving down the road. That was fun.
Nice one. Yeah, my megaphone had some great use at the protest. I was yelling out to the Parliament, "Come on, Cindy, turn the Wi-Fi on."
Oh.
anything I could think of. I was just sitting there, just yelling it, or just projecting it towards Parliament. Remember that? Do you remember when I was live streaming for you, Vinny? That the day that the police were on the front line.
Not specifically, but I remember you being down there live streaming for me, yeah, and I appreciate that because it was illegal for me to go and do any protesting at the time.
Yeah. How's this for a protest story? So, my friend Mary Byrne here in Wellington, she said, "Do you want to do some live streaming for Vinny?" And I said, "Yes, please." And then she got us in contact. And I was like, "Oh no, I need to change my data plan, and I need some headphones and a microphone, da da da." And I was like, "Oh no!" So from the time I worked across Parliament, I'd spoken to enough people, and I told them what I was about to do, and I had enough money in my pocket from people giving me money to do it to go change my data plan and buy a set of headphones and a microphone and a headset. So I think that was $70 I needed, and I had it in my hand. And I walked into 2 Degrees and got it. How's that?
Ooh.
Yeah, I remember I had you on the phone or something like that, and you said your phone was about to die and you didn't have a power bank to recharge it on the go. And you're like, "Oh, where am I going to get the money for it? I can't afford it," or something like that. And I was like, "Dude, you're at a protest. Go and tell people that you're alternative media and you need money for a piece of equipment so that you can continue covering the protest, and they will throw money at you."
It was incredible. Yeah, it's amazing. I don't recall the power bank thing because I've never actually owned a power bank, but you might have your wires crossed a bit. But yeah, it was amazing. That energy and that vibe was amazing. And I got some good footage for you right on the front line too. Like I got right up there, like I was holding my phone up in the air down at the cops, and really trying to show you what was happening.
Mm.
There was one point, actually, I was right up at the front line, and there's this cop right in front of me, and he was so red and so dehydrated because it was a hot day, and he needed some water, and I could tell he's breathing through his mask, and I was like, "Mate, you are stuffed. You're about to faint, mate. Your head is as red as a tomato." It really was. He was bald. And no shit. So there's people handing out water, right? Sealed water bottles. And I go, "Hey, could I have a water bottle here?" I was like, "Mate, just take your mask off, have a drink of water. Honestly, this is from a human being to a human being. Let's just cooperate here. And I just want to give you some water, bro, because you're about to faint." And he didn't do it. He wouldn't speak to me. Wouldn't take his mask off. And I was like, "Stuff it." I opened the thing and just tipped some water over his head. And I was like, "There you go, bro." I know you're happy, bro. I know you're thanking me. Even though you won't admit it, I know you're thanking me, bro. You needed that. You're looking a whole heap better now.
Memories.
Yeah, mate. That was awesome, eh? I loved it, eh? Because it wasn't because we're working for them too. We're doing what we could for them as well. Like, I remember seeing one cop actually. He as he walked off, he hung there was there's these green lampshades around Parliament that on top of the fence, and he clipped his handcuffs to them as he walked off, and I thought, yeah, there you go, there's a sign of disrespect, eh? I thought that was pretty huge, yeah. And those handcuffs stayed there for quite a while until I think somebody pointed them out to them, and then cop just walked up and just undid them because they're universal keys, so he just undid them.
Right? Okay. It's good to know.
Yeah.
We can always twist the chains. There's ways you can get out of those handcuffs. You can twist your wrist so the chains actually break.
Well, this should be at the Freedom Summit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I was just thinking, Vinny, I could be a bit cheeky with you because I know, and I was thinking there's probably people out there wondering about your love life. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to, but I'm just got a feeling there's probably people out there maybe too scared to ask.
Well, it's, for one, none of their business, but for two... I've broken up with my recent partner, so I've got 2 children to 2 different women, but I have a good relationship with them, and I'm still supporting them and taking care of my kids if and when I can, which is actually quite regular at recent. So I'll be working 1 minute, and then I'll be running over to take care of my boy the next. And so the real difficulty is I need gas money to be able to go up to Whangarei to see my daughter. but that might not be for too much longer because I think her mum's going to move back to Auckland so that both my kids will be nearby, so I'll be able to take care of them far
that's
more
good,
often, you know. And it's just
good one.
I had to take my daughter for a whole weekend, you know, like no prep, no nothing or something like that. Just take my daughter for a whole weekend. She's 4 years old. And you get the impression of just how difficult it is for her mum to take care of her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you know. It was just like a weekend was tough. And I'm like, yeah, I need to be taking care of her for, I don't know, 3 days a week or something like that. I've got to make up for lost time because I really miss my kids. Even Alfie, who's just down, like 10 minutes down the road with his mum Rebecca, and they love me so much. The second they see me, their little faces light up, and Alfie does his little chimpanzee walk towards me with his hands up, wanting a big hug, and I think the other day I picked him up from daycare and he just sort of like cuddled me and nuzzled into my neck for like about 5 minutes or something like that, you know. He misses his daddy. It's very sweet.
Well, that's
well, that's good news. Yeah. They're coming back to Auckland.
Well, eventually, maybe, hopefully, I don't know.
Just back to things we saw at the protest. Daniel messaged in. I saw the miracle of Food HQ and how the provisions just turned up as needed. I'd have to agree with that. That was pretty amazing how the food thing happened. Yeah, it was just amazing. We all found our little jobs. We all found our little things to do, and it was awesome. It just happened. And there was even fishermen that brought in fish. There was some really nice food that came through. Even the Hare Krishna food was awesome. I deliberately queued up early for the Hare Krishna stuff because it was just so nice. They brought a chef in from Auckland apparently.
Yeah, I remember going to a festival. Was it Resolution? Or no, it might have been New Zealand Spirit Fest, and there was a Hare Krishna tent just down the hill from us. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, every morning, doesn't matter how late you were up or something like that, they'd start up with their songs and stuff, and I'd be like, man, I wish they'd just hurry up and finish.
I suppose if Hare Krishnas didn't have really good food, it probably wouldn't be a successful religion, would it?
No.
But a bit cheeky there.
They just give the food away for free to a large degree, don't they?
Yeah, it is very good food.
That's how they indoctrinate people into their cult.
There's also part of my job was there was a food stall. I think it was a Marae that was doing it because they had those portable hangis.
Oh yeah.
Every time their rubbish bag was full, they put it on the hedge next to where my van was, and I'd see it there, and I'd take it to the rubbish pile for them, and that means I didn't have to queue up for food every night. I could just go into the kitchen and just grab some. But I'd also help out in the kitchen as well. I'd also like serve food and do what I could.
Big Norm. 2 guys showed up in kilts offering to shoot deer and bring them in for the spit roast. It must have been at the Wellington. Yeah. So.
All this talk about food, I just realised that I haven't actually had dinner yet.
Oh no! No!
I've had a pretty full on week with filming and stuff, so I'm sorry guys, but I'm tired. Eh?
Yeah. Okay, mate. Thanks for going as long as you did. I know you normally go to bed at 8 these days because you get up early and you got your show tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man.
All right, man.
So, guys, thanks for inviting me on. I like the setup.
Yep.
You guys have got a good little trickle of listeners coming in. That's not to be sniffed at, actually, to get an audience of this size this late at night when you've only been going for as long as you have. That means you're doing something right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're hoping to get some more good guests on and maybe some regulars so they can spread out over the week too. And that invite goes to you too, Vinny, of course.
Yeah, of course.
So,
just let me know when you want me on and stuff like that, and I'll turn up if I'm able.
Oh,
okay.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, bro. thanks for everything. Like I said, it's been awesome. Like I've first discovered you in about sort of 2011, 2012 sort of thing, and here we are. You're on my show.
Because I know you're busy with your filming and stuff you were saying today, but I was thinking about the panel idea, Freedom Panel. So if you want to do anything with your peers, and have a regular weekly thing, would be cool.
We could do a Freedom Panel on Skype and broadcast it.
Well, and you can, of course, if you want to just rebroadcast my show or / air it live kind of thing. That way I don't have to do a whole other show.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Well, we're trying to do the talkback thing, I suppose. And, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we'll just do our best.
Share around, yeah.
Yeah, it's been good. It's cool. I'm pretty proud of our little setup, actually.
So we've got Hannah and Calvin probably going to do some talk back, hopefully, come through, and others in the pipeline.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, those window opportunity might close up, but...
Yeah.
But night's probably not your thing anyway, is it, Vinny? Maybe...
I'd like to get into night, so, I mean, basically I will do it all the time, but... it's like the Joker said, if you're really good at something, never do it for free.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something else with us. So we just do all this for free off our own bats,
Yeah, I had to do it for free for I think 15 years. So
15 years?
Yeah, 15 years before I actually started getting paid for doing my talk radio show.
Wow.
Oh, I see what you mean. But, like paid per hour, you mean?
No, just getting anything.
Oh. Well, how did you survive all that time? I thought you lived off donations and everything.
I did.
Oh, okay, so you didn't get paid. I guess the way you look at it, isn't it?
It's just all gifting and stuff like that, as opposed to like somebody actually paying you to create the content and being on a network. Yeah, that's a brand new thing for me.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm doing lots of things all over the place, frickin' exhausted, frickin' busy, and yet more stuff keeps turning up that makes me even busier, and I like it, frankly.
Well, that's good, eh?
I like it when things are opening up and cranking along and having all sorts of things happen, It's great. I think what's really stagnated me as a man is not having people need me, right? Like knowing how much my kids and my ex-wife and ex-partner actually do need me around has been a huge motivator, and the same with my mate Daryl, who's brought me onto the set of The Prince of Erewhon that we're filming again this coming weekend. He's adamant that he needed me to help him finish this project. So it's like it's good to be needed, and I like to help people when they're in need.
Is it a film feature or a short thing? Or?
Yes.
It's both.
It's really a short film, but it's meant to be a pilot for and a stepping stone to something greater. A New Zealand produced comedy TV show that's basically run by truthers for truthers. So it's never been really done before. And talking about a whole new way of filmmaking and a whole new sort of combination of talents that bring this thing out to the fore. And I got to tell you, I haven't laughed this much on the set or in the editing suite for a long time. There's some really great talent that we've got. So if anybody wants to check that out, you can go to 2222.nz. That's 2222.nz, and have a look at the website. Check us out on social media. We've been putting out photos and little videos and things like that to sort of build the hype for it. And then after we're done with that, once we've wrapped up filming, I'm going to have to be getting headlong into a project called Grindspot, which is not about porn. It's actually more like Star Wars on skateboards, if you can kind of get the idea of that. And it's really cool, very very punk, very funny. Also very cool, I think. Caleb, who's a second assistant director on Prince of Erewhon, I asked him to come on the project because he's just such a positive guy. You know how sometimes you can just talk to somebody any time of the day or whatever, and they're all just so full of cheer and stuff like that they frickin' infect you with their awesomeness? Yeah, Caleb's like that. And so he came to me with some ideas, basically kind of like just disjointed ideas that might be like in a trailer for a movie that never gets made or something like that. And I spent months and months just trying to work out where's the actual story here. And now we've got it, and the script's, I think, well over halfway done, and the rest of it's just kind of like filling in the blanks, like the hard work of trying to make a story that makes sense out of his ideas is done. And I've shown some of the clips and things of that nature that we've done in previs to people, and they're laughing, they're smiling the whole time when they're watching it. And they're really interested in the release of that project too. So, yeah, man, filmmaking is probably the most powerful brainwashing medium there is there, and the truth movement needs a presence in that theatre, so to speak. On that note, the Jones Plantation film. If you guys have not paid your $10 to support the Jones Plantation film, it's fully done. It's ready to watch. And everything, and just go to jonesplantation.com. It's actually made by a guy who's the author of a book called The Most Dangerous Religion, which is about government, Larkin Rose. He actually wrote the film, and it's...
Seen a bit of him. Larkin Rose is good.
So in the Jones Plantation, they employ a guy named Smith to come in and tell the slaves that they're free now and that he's going to pay them to do their work, right? And it's... I don't really want to give away too much of the plot. All I can say is, you remember that feeling when you walked out of the Matrix watching it for the first time, and you look down the street and the world seems a little bit different now because your mind's been blown about what's possible? I haven't had that effect from a film since 1999, and when I walked out of the Matrix, until last year when I watched The Jones Plantation. So if you really want to see a movie that is actually just so good, for not only to watch but for your brain and your understanding of how modern slavery sort of works in a analogistic sort of way, definitely can't go past Jones Plantation, man. I was really enjoyed that film.
Okay.
And the other one was 222.com, was it?
2222.nz.
.nz.
Yeah, 2222 Pictures. It's Daryl Jones's little project there.
Okay.
It's a very one. So yeah, guys, I'm sort of.
Right, mate.
It's called
Good
a
on you,
pivot. It's called a pivot, apparently. You know.
Where you turn and leave, eh?
Yeah. So
no worries, man.
Definitely not leaving the radio or the truth movement behind or anything like that. This is my day job, and so in the terms of developing stories and things like that really mean something to people, and make them laugh, make them cry, make them think, that sort of thing. That's where I really am focused and putting my the bulk of my free time and attention into these days. And I'm freaking the only other time when I've had as much fun, I wouldn't say more, but certainly as much fun as I have on a film set, is when Vinny and the Vendettas were performing.
Okay.
Good times.
Yeah, that was good times, man. All right, guys, thank you so much, and hopefully the audience will be kind enough to go over to the VinnyEastwoodShow.com and flick us a donation for all the work that gets done, and helping to keep people feeling happy and hopeful and laughing and feel listened to and not feel alone. That's the basic point of the show, and I know that it does help people to get themselves into a good headspace, including V from the Red Pill Hardcore show. He started his show after listening to mine because I told people on my show to start their own. And he used to listen to my show. He was a targeted individual, so, very high stress levels, that kind of thing. He used to listen to my show before going to bed, actually, because it's the only thing to get himself into a good headspace where he could actually drift off to sleep afterwards. And in the absence of the Vinny Eastwood show, he would watch cat videos. So the Vinny Eastwood show is like the cat video of the Truth Movement talk radio circuit. And I'm also a bit of a pussy. But thank you guys.
All right, man.
Hey.
All right.
Cheers. Time.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Awesome.
All right. Good stuff.
Chat.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Sweet. All right.